Okay, so Team 1 and Team 2 are now joining up to put the system together. So Team 2, you should have your completed top tank with all the pipes screwed in and the filter box ready. And Team 1, you should have the large bottom tank with your plants and sand in the bottom. You also need the metal bar with the LED lights on it and your big LED light plugged into your timer. So first of all, Team 1, you need the bottom tank and the metal bar, and Team 2, you need the top part of the tank. You're going to take the metal bar. First of all, you should have decided where you're going to plug in your system. So think about which side of the system the plugs and the sockets are going to be on, and have the piece of wire on that side of the tank. So if my socket was over here, I'd put the wire on this side so that the leads are by the socket. If it was on this side, I would put the wire over here and then we can plug in on this side. So carefully peel off the top piece of paper for your Velcro and then position the bar at the front of the tank before it slants downward. And then Team 2 are carefully going to place the top tank over the bottom one while you hold that in place for them. And make sure that the Velcro sticks to the front of the lid. And then once that's on, place your hands either side of the length of the top tank and give it a good push down so that the Velcro is secure. Okay, so take the LED light bracket and then make sure that the wires coming out of it are also on the side that's going to go into the socket in the wall. So we've got our lead down here on this side, so we're going to have this on the same side, so all the wires will go off in the same direction. And then just place it over the top of the tank. You'll see that there are two small holes in the side, and that's what we're going to screw the bracket into. Once you've placed the fixture over the top of the tank, you can see there's a small hole in the side of the tank here. You're going to line that up with the hole in the bracket and then unscrew this screw here and take this bolt off. So you don't need this now, this has just kept it in place to send it to you. And you're just going to push the screw through both of the holes and screw it in. You should be fine with your fingers. You can get a screwdriver if you want. Just get that nice and tight and then do the same for the other side. Okay, so we showed you earlier how to connect up the wires on the LED metal bar, which were off when we connected ours. So we've just put that on now. And then the last thing to add on is the pump. So you've got the pump box here. Open that up. And unravel the pump, the wires. And then on the top of the pump, you've got this small piece that sticks up. That is going to stick into the yellow hose pipe on the back inlet pipe. So it can be a good idea to have somebody lift the top tank and lid up to make it easier for you to reach the yellow hose pipe. So you're just going to push this bit of the pump into the pipe. It can be a little bit tough, so hold on to it tightly and push it in. And then again, just make sure that this wire is coming out this side of the tank, so you're keeping all your wires on the same side. Okay, the last really important thing to do to complete building the tank is to make sure that it is watertight. So we've checked already when we've screwed the pipes in that they're as tight as we can get them. But before we fill it with water, we want to just make sure that the water's not going to leak out. So I've just filled this bucket, 10-litre bucket, about half full, so not too much water. And I'm just going to very carefully pour this water into the top tank only. And then what I want to do now is just check that there are no leaks in the system. So I'm just checking if I take the standpipe off, again that this is nice and secure here, the outlet pipe. And again, in the filter box, if I just take these out, check that this is nice and secure, the inlet pipe. And then just check underneath the top tank, in the bottom tank, if that's okay as well. Okay, so to check underneath the top tank, it's again a good idea to maybe have a few people lift that tank up so you can access it more clearly. And then you're just going to feel here, you want to check if you can feel any water, so anything leaking through. So you shouldn't have that coming out of the top tank. So actually on this front one, I can feel a little bit of water. So I'm going to ask somebody to hold the top pipe for me, and I'm just going to tighten up this top bolt, so not the bottom piece, but actually the top bit of plastic that we put in first of all, and get that nice and tight. Tighten up the bottom one as well, so that feels secure now. The back one looks fine, that's nice and tight there, there's no leaks. So now I know my system is nice and watertight, it's ready to fill up with water. Okay, so team one, you should have seen in your instructions that you're to decide where the system is going to go. So before we add the rest of the water, we need to get the system into the right position. And this is so that we make sure it's in the right place and we don't need to move it again once it's full of water, because it will be really heavy. So once it's in position, then you're just going to get your buckets of water and start by filling this bottom tank. And we want to fill it until it gets to about 10 centimetres below the top line of the tank. So again, very carefully, take your buckets of water and just start to slowly pour them into the tank. Okay, and just continue until it's near the top. Okay, so we've filled the bottom tank now, so you can see it's quite high up, about 10 centimetres from the top here down to the water. And this is a really easy way to check that the water in your system doesn't get too low. So the water will evaporate off a little bit over time. So when you're doing your maintenance checks, if you notice that the water's got a lot lower, then just add a little bit more to your system and get it back to about this level in the bottom tank. Once the bottom tank's filled, then we'll fill the top tank. So the top tank, we need to ensure the water is high enough that it will flow back down this outlet pipe. So the water's going to come up from the bottom, come out here, and then flow out back down this pipe here. So we just need to fill it to about that level. Okay, so you can see I've got the top tank filled now. So this top box is starting to float a little bit, and this pipe is starting to float a little bit as well, so that's good. And then here I can see that the water's high enough that it's just starting to trickle down the outlet pipe. So what I'm going to do now is switch everything on and check that that's flowing okay. Okay, so I've got an extension lead. I've not plugged it in yet. I'm just going to plug all the parts into it. So I've got the plug for the pump. I've got the plug for the light on the metal bar. And I've got the plug with the timer for the light on the top tank. Once I've plugged them in, then I'm going to plug the extension in and switch that on. You'll need to check with your teacher on exactly how you're going to plug your system in. It depends where you're going to position it in your classroom and how close to the sockets it is, and how many extension leads you might want to use. So check that with the teacher first. You can see here we've got all of our plugs into one extension lead. So there's lots of wires here coming out of the system. So do have a think about how you're going to keep these wires nice and tidy. Is there a way that you can tie them together to keep them nice and neat? Maybe keep them secure on the ground. Check this with your teacher before you plug everything in. And now that the plug is switched on, the pump, you can see that it's pushing the water up and it's flowing out here. And in this pipe, I can see that there's a flow of water down to the bottom tank. Okay, so you can see in the bottom tank here, this is the outlet pipe and the water's flowing out nicely. So that's good. That means that we've got the water flowing, and that water's going to go back into the bottom tank where the fish are and be pulled back around up to over to the pump and pumped back up to the top. So that means that the water will keep cycling around the system. If you notice that the water here stops flowing or slows up a lot, that means there could be some blockage somewhere in the system. So then you need to go to the troubleshooting guide and see what problems there could be. So when you turn all of the lights on, you'll see that the LEDs under here are flashing different colours, which is quite fun. Got a bit of a disco going on, but that can be a little bit stressful for the fish. So we want to switch that just to white light for most of the time. So you've got this controller here, which can change the light settings. You need to just take it out of the packet, first of all. And then you'll see at the bottom, there's a piece of plastic that you just need to pull out, and then the controller will work. And then you need to bring the controller around so that it's not in contact, but close to this white lead coming off the controller box, because that's what picks up the signal. And we're going to switch it off, switch it on again, and select white. And then that should just keep the light constantly on white, so it's nice and calm for your fish. Okay, so once you've got all the wires in place, this white controller box for the LED light on the metal bar can actually stick onto the side of your system so it's secure. So if you just turn it over, you'll see this piece here actually peels off. So just carefully peel it away and then turn it over, and don't stick it too far down as it will tug on the wire. Just stick it up towards the top here onto the side of your tank, and then it's nice and secure. So finally, when you've got all of the system built, everything connected up, the last thing you need to do is call over Team 3, and they're going to put the plastic raft, the floating raft, onto the system. So you haven't got any plants to go in at the moment. Team 3 have been busy propagating, so you've got plants growing in the propagation tray. They'll be ready to go into the system in a couple of weeks' time. So for now, you just need to place the tray on top, and this patch at the back that's got no holes in here needs to go over the filter box at the back end of the system, and just rest that gently in. And then if you want to, you can either put your tray of seedlings onto a sunny windowsill, or if you don't have anywhere that they'll get much sun, then you can actually just rest it on here and it will get some light from under the LED. Okay, so that's everything. You've now built your produce pod system, so well done. Over the next few weeks, you'll start to add your fish and then your plants, and you'll start to do some experiments and investigations around aquaponics. If you've got any questions at all, or if there's anything you're not sure about while you've been building your system, then just get in touch with Farm Urban and we'll be there to help you out. Have fun!